A cobalt glow suffused the cavernous hall of Onyx Prime's Grand Conclave, where the galaxy's mightiest powers had gathered at a moment teetering between extinction and alliance. Above, bioluminescent vines curled around crystalline spires, casting prismatic reflections across the vaulted ceiling. Every seat along the semicircular dais was occupied, except one. At the center, Ambassador Saloon of the Vikali stood, her lithe lavender form poised atop a hovering dais. She inhaled deeply, her telepathic aura rippling like gentle waves across the assembly, seeking to bind them in shared purpose. "Esteemed colleagues," she spoke, her voice an echo in the silence, "we face not mere conquest, but a collapse of civilization itself. The Fenari horde, driven by a cataclysm in their own homeworld, has broken every covenant. Yet I implore you, they respond to reason as much as any of us." From the left flank came a low murmur of dissent. Ambassador Torvak of the crystalline Ilaran, his faceted limbs clicking thoughtfully, countered in measured tones. "Reason, Selun? Their ships burn our worlds. They harvest our people like crops. What language of peace do they understand? If not the crackle of our ion cannons." A ripple of tension spread when the grand doors hissed open. Two armored soldiers escorted General Elia Rourke of Earth's United Defense Force down the aisle. The crowd shifted. Human delegation, once a minor bloc, now towered in presence and resolve. Rourke's cerulean eyes blazed beneath her cropped auburn hair, and every inch of her stance spoke of hard-won battles and broken oaths. She clasped her hands atop the obsidian dais. "We came here to negotiate an armistice," Rourke's voice, clear and uncompromising, carried across the chamber. "Instead, we were deceived. The Fenari slaughtered our envoy at the border of Sector 64. They broadcast the screams of our diplomats back to Earth as trophies. We are not children to be reasoned with through empty promises." Her gaze swept over the council, daring any to contradict. The hall erupted. Droick's envoys hissed metallic pleas for calm. Vikali delegates pressed their palms to temples against the human telepresence. Saloon placed a calming hand on her own dais rail. "We are here because, unlike single-species war councils of old, we recognize interdependence. If the Horde is eradicated entirely," she paused, letting the weight of her words settle in the stone-cold air, "their dark nanovirus will ravage any survivors, any resurgence, until there is nothing left but echoes and dust." Rourke's shoulders stiffened. "We will not cower beneath threats. We will not be told to weigh consequences when entire Earth colonies burn." In that charged stillness, a new figure emerged. Elder Mantosh of the Lyrari, a race of living nebulae, drifted forward, tendrils of cosmic mist undulating with sorrow. "We have seen worlds devoured by vengeance. We have seen peace vanish when hope is splintered. Do you truly believe that your destruction of the Horde will end the cycle?" His ethereal voice was a mournful melody. "Or will it sow the seeds of a grudge that grows beyond your comprehension?" A cry of "No more talk" echoed from the human contingent. Rourke raised a gloved hand for silence. "You speak as if we choose this path," she said softly, the fierceness in her calm. Shaking the hall, "We choose survival. Each of you has worlds to lose. Each of you owes your people more than philosophical debates." Ambassador Torvak's crystalline facets glimmered with internal conflict. "Survival at what cost? Our unity, our moral compass." Rourke's reply was almost gentle. "We lost that the moment our children's lullabies were drowned in battle drums." She looked upward, meeting the cold stars beyond the transparent dome ceiling. "We stand here, or we burn in our ships, drifting silent through a void we could have bridled together." The Grand Chancellor of the Star Council, a towering gestalt of woven light from no single race, raised both hands. Enough! Its voice was neither male nor female, but both and all things in between. We stand on the precipice. We will grant humanity a window, a final chance. If General Rourke can produce within 3 standard galactic rotations a plan that integrates humane protocols, shared command, and mutually agreed limits of engagement, the Council will ratify a joint offensive. If not, we will pursue a separate path of negotiated ceasefire, with or without humanity's involvement. Rourke's jaw clenched. Ambassador Saloon's aura trembled with relief. The others shifted, some in hopeful relief, others in wary suspicion. The stage was set, fraught with impossible promises and the ticking countdown to action. As the session adjourned, Rourke remained behind, her gaze on the crystalline seat where the Fenari envoy would have sat. She inhaled the lingering council energies, the telepathy of Vikali, the crystalline heartbeats of Elarun, the metallic hum of Droix, and found herself strangely hollowed. Peace, she knew, was not born of compromise alone. It required trust, and trust was the one commodity humanity had little left to give. Flames licked the horizon above New Moscow's shattered skyline, glowing orange against a bruised twilight sky. The city's once proud domes and spires, symbols of Earth's second-wave colonization, now lay fractured, their glass ribs twisted into jagged silhouettes. Beneath the magnetic shield that held back meteor storms and rogue solar flares, the survivors worked tirelessly. Engineers in exosuits patched energy conduits with glowing nanogel. Medics in biohazard robes ferried the wounded through illuminated corridors, their respirators hissing in time with the shockwaves still rippling through the region. Captain Milo Vasquez moved among them with deliberate calm. His hazard suit's HUD overlay painted diagnostics in pale blue. Structural integrity at 77%, power reserves at 63%. His comm unit crackled with status updates. Even here, on the doorstep of humanity's heartland, the Fenari's vengeance haunted every corridor. He paused on the terrace of his childhood home, once a 3-story loft where he'd played, laser tag in the halls, and watched the Aurora Belt's pristine dances overhead. Now the walls were scorched, the polished terrazzo floor cracked and pitted. A single hollow frame floated amid the debris, a grainy image of his sister, Mara, mid-laugh, sunlit curls tumbling over her shoulders. She had fallen in the first wave, taken by the Fenari nanovirus that turned friend to foe. Milo's fingers hovered over the frame, but he refused to break its suspended time. There was work to do. He keyed a command into his gauntlet. The rubble slid aside as a mechanized loader lifted a collapsed beam. He stepped aside, letting the drones and their human operators clear the way. A voice chimed over his comm. "Captain, repairs on the West Quad's grav stabilizers are complete. We're green across that sector." "Copy that," he replied. "Dispatch a team to reinforce the perimeter walls. I want triple-layer plating on every wall within 10 clicks." "Understood." He closed his eyes, tasting the acrid tang of firefight residue. He remembered the morning that broadcast reached Earth, the screams of diplomats, the harrowing laughter of the Fenari commander. He'd sat at his console in the USS Dimitri's CIC and watched the holographic feed. Something inside him snapped. In that moment, he vowed the galaxy would know human wrath as abidingly as his people knew loss. His comm buzzed again, drawing him back. "Captain," said Lieutenant Nyala Chen, "the strike teams are pushing into launch bays. We're on schedule for Operation Retribution." "Good," Milo said, voice low. "Prepare the torpedo tubes. How soon until we're ready to slip?" "The shield. 2 hours maximum. All pulse photon warheads have been loaded, and the fighters are fueled. Even the old freighters in dry dock, retrofit as missile platforms, they're ready." He nodded. "Excellent work. Send me a feed. Once we reach firing solution, I want eyes on every coordinate. Chen hesitated. Sir, about your personal request. Confirmation on the Veilstar outpost grid. Milo's jaw clenched. Everything's locked in. We strike at dawn. Local system time. No deviations. Understood, Captain. He switched off the comm and turned back to the ruined panorama. Down in the lower levels of New Moscow, civilians still roamed, faces etched with fatigue and fracturing hope. Children, their eyes too wide for their small faces, scavenged for rations. The elders muttered prayers in half-remembered tongues beneath broken murals of old Earth. All of them had stories like his: spouses lost, siblings infected, homes razed. His lieutenant, a wiry engineer named Marcus Yevgeny, approached with a datapad. Sir, we've integrated the Droix emergency field generators into the city's grid. We'll have full atmospheric regulation and shield harmonics restored within the hour. Milo managed a thin smile. That's good news. On your way, Lieutenant. Let me know when you're done. I'll be coordinating with General Rourke on fleet deployment. Yevgeny nodded and melted back into the humming activity. Milo looked once more at the shattered holoframe of his sister. A single memory rose unbidden. Mara's soft voice as she taught him to pilot a glider drone among the kumquat orchards of Mars Base 9. She'd laughed when he nearly crashed into a grove. He closed his eyes, fighting the thunder of grief. When he opened them again, he saw a small girl, no more than 6, watching him from beneath a tangle of burned steel. Her hair was singed, and her eyes, too old for her age, were rimmed with soot. She held out a battered teddy bear, stitched crudely where seamstress drones had tried to repair its stuffing. Milo crouched down. "Hey there," he said softly, voice steady. "What's your name?" "Liana," she whispered, voice hoarse. "Mama and Papa, they went away," he swallowed. "I'm sorry, Liana, but you're safe now." She offered the bear to him. He was all Papa had left. He took the toy gingerly, examining the frayed stitches. Then he smiled, a genuine, gentle curve of his lips. "Thank you. I'll keep him safe. You, come with me. There's a medical bay nearby with hot rations and clean beds." She nodded, clutching his glove. Together, they walked toward the humming corridors of recovery. Milo's comm sputtered to life again. "All units report. Launch parameters confirmed. Shields to down delay in 10 minutes. He straightened, glancing at the miniaturized H-Alpha, flare cascading across his HUD. "Chen, status." "Ready, Captain," she replied. "Waiting your final go." He inhaled the recycled air, tasting determination. "Tell all strike teams. On my mark, execute Operation Retribution." "Aye, sir." Liana tugged his sleeve. "Captain, will we win?" He knelt beside her, radius grip of his gauntlet brushing her shoulder. "We will protect what's ours," he said, "no matter the cost." He rose, heart pounding as the countdown began. Beneath New Moscow's scarred dome, humanity's vengeance stirred. And far beyond the charred horizon, the engines of retribution roared to life. High above the Veilstar system, Admiral Kira Shen stared into the targeting holoscreen aboard the UDS Aurora. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight knot, and the lines around her eyes bespoke years of frontline command. At her side, Lieutenant Commander Jalen Orr monitored the pulse photon torpedo's stabilization matrix. The dark expanse of space stretched endlessly before them, dotted with the pale green glow of Veilstar's twin suns. "Target lock confirmed," Orr announced. The Admiral's gloved finger hovered over the launch panel. A hush fell across the bridge as every officer awaited her order. Admiral Shen inhaled steadily. Fire! In the next instant, the void bloomed into brilliant, silent carnage. Dozens of torpedoes streaked toward Veilstar's orbital platforms, leaving shimmering contrails of antimatter plasma. Where they struck, the platforms vaporized. In superheated fireballs, metal and concrete evaporating into stardust. The shockwave rippled outward, shearing the thin atmosphere from the planet below and igniting the surface's oxygen-rich clouds. On the planet itself, the Veilstar defenders had mere seconds to register the incoming threat. Mechs and fighter wings scrambled, but the salvo was precise and overwhelming. Entire battalions were incinerated before they could return fire. Shield grids collapsed like paper shields in a furnace. By the time human bombers arrived to carpet bomb, the ruined landing zones, the once proud outpost, was nothing more than a molten scar. Back in the Grand Conclave of Onyx Prime, warning klaxons blared. Holographic monitors flickered to life along every columned wall, displaying the incendiary beauty of the bombardment. Ambassador Threnzal of the Alaran staggered back, his crystalline form fracturing with each pulse of shock. "What have they done?" he murmured, voice brittle. Ambassador Selûne's lavender visage drained of color. This is beyond retaliation. This is total annihilation." From the human delegation, General Alia Rourke spoke into a quiet comm, her voice calm and cold. "Veilstar outpost neutralized. The Fenari command structure there is dismantled." She turned to face the council, shoulders squared. "Their fleets will scatter without a central nexus. We have crippled their ability to wage war." A stunned silence greeted her words. Then the Dro-Ix envoy, a towering amalgam of chrome plating and hydraulic limbs, stepped forward. Its voice, a grinding metallic rasp, echoed through the hall. "You promised cooperation. You promised protocols. Instead, you unleashed genocide. The Pact of Aurelian is rendered moot by your actions." Rourke's lips thinned. "The pact is null where trust is broken. The Horde killed our envoys, every last one. We chose decisive action over empty assurances." Selûne intervened, telepathic threads lancing outward to calm the assembly. "Council, if we fracture now, the Fenari survivors will regenerate into the void unchecked. We must unite, or we will all fall." Across the dais, Ambassador Torvak's crystalline limbs clicked in agitation. "Unite? After this? How can we share command with beings who see life only as a resource?" Murmurs of agreement rose among several member species. Yet others, particularly those who had suffered mightily in early raids, nodded in grim vindication. The Great Star Council teetered between condemnation and admiration. Elder Mantosh of the Lirari, ethereal wisps of cosmic dust trailing behind him, raised his voice once more. "Your vengeance may yield short-term gains, humans, but it has cost you your allies. We offered you guidance, strategic simulcasts, even joint engineering of containment vessels. Now none will serve at your side except those who share your thirst for blood." Rourke's steely gaze met Mantosh's cosmic sorrow. "We will find partners who understand what it means to lose everything." On the charred fields of Veilstar's surface, human ground forces deployed next. Exosuited Marines secured fallen command towers. Reconnaissance drones swept the cratered plains. Captain Milo Vasquez led a small contingent, his heart a fist of triumph and grief, as he planted Earth's banner atop a melted control console. In the distance, survivors of the Fenari command, half-mutated by the nanovirus, cowered in collapsed bunkers. They raised trembling hands in surrender, only to be met with wary human rifles. Vasquez hesitated, memory of Liana's frightened eyes flashing before him. But the orders were clear. No prisoners of war. "Move in," he whispered. "Secure." To them. As his squad advanced, Vasquez felt the tide shift beneath humanity's feet. The initial victory tasted of victory, but also of ash and regret. Across the galaxy, species recalculated their allegiances, some drawing closer to humanity's might, others retreating to found a new order without human influence. Admiral Shen's report echoed in every command center. The scale of destruction was unprecedented, the blow nearly fatal. Yet as the smoke cleared, Fenari forces, fractured but unbroken, began regrouping on far-flung worlds. The war was far from over. The scales had merely tipped, and in the uneasy quiet that followed, the Council's fracture threatened to unleash even greater chaos. Human vengeance had turned the tide, but the wave it unleashed would reshape the galaxy in ways no one could yet foresee. The UDS Resolve drifted in silent orbit above the shattered husk of Mardoon Prime. Once a jewel of the Fenari Empire, its continents now lay pitted with scorch marks and crater chasms. Beneath the warship's hull, human survey drones sifted through the ruins, mapping collapse zones and harvesting data cores. In the central command bridge, General Alia Rourke stood before the holotable, its surface awash with shifting red markers that tracked pockets of Fenari resistance fleeing into the outer fringe. Captain Milo Vasquez entered quietly, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. He carried the repaired teddy bear, a battered but cherished reminder of Liana and all the innocents swallowed by this war. He paused beside Rourke, studying the flickering projections. "They're regrouping. On Vesul Minor," he said, voice low. "Estimates suggest they'll have a functioning fleet in 90 standard days." Rourke's jaw tensed. "Then we have 90 days to finish this, one way or another." Vasquez set the bear on the table. Its single glass eye caught the hololight. "I've been thinking," he said, meeting her gaze. "We've broken the Horde's spine, but we haven't broken the nanovirus. It's still out there, waiting." She nodded slowly. "I know." Her eyes drifted to the wall of viewports behind him, where distant nebulae glowed like wounds in the void. "We flushed them out, but their darkness still haunts us." Below decks, the ship's comm channels buzzed with appeals from allied species. The Vakali offered telepathic healers. The Droics volunteered to retrofit our shuttles with biomech inoculation units. Even the Ilaran crystalline engineers sent fractal array designs to neutralize nanite clusters. But pride and distrust tangled at humanity's core. Rourke had refused every offer so far. "Reach out," Vasquez urged gently. "If we don't accept help, we'll rebuild alone, and we'll fail alone." Rourke closed her eyes, remembering the cries of the diplomats, the sight of New Moscow aflame, the way Liana's small hand had clung to hers. She wanted vengeance. She needed it. But necessity, she realized, demanded another path. She tapped the holotable, and the map shifted to highlight New Moscow's rehabilitation sectors. "Our people are rebuilding," she said. "They deserve more than echoing revenge across the stars." Vasquez placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then let's save them, and every world, together." In the deep vaults of Onyx Prime, the Aijim fractured council reconvened. Stalwart holograms of council members flickered in the chamber's crystalline gloom. Ambassador Saloon's lavender form was tempered by relief. Ambassador Torvak's facets bore cautious hope. Elder Mantosh's nebula tendrils pulsed with quiet optimism. General Rourke's transmission began, her image flickering as she addressed them from the Resolve. "Council of the Stars," she began, voice steady. "Humanity offers a new pact. We accept your terms of joint command and humane protocols. We invite the Vakali, Ilaran, Droics, Lirari, and all member species to join Operation Aegis, a coalition to eradicate the Fenari nanovirus at its source and prevent future uprisings." Silence stretched across the holochamber. Then Saloon's mind threads shimmered. "We accept," she replied. "The Vakali will contribute our empathic wards, our gift, guardianship of the cure's final synthesis." One by one, the other. Envoys gave assent. Torvak clicked his limbs in solemn promise. Mantosh's cosmic mist swirled into a luminous ribbon of consent. The great Chancellor's gestalt fractaled into thousands of sparkling lights, a universal sign of unity restored. Weeks later, under the opalescent skies of Fenari Prime, joint teams deployed to the heart of the Horde's former stronghold. Human scientists in bioarmor linked their arrays to crystalline conduits engineered by the Elarun, while Vekali empath healers kept panic and despair at bay. Dro-X biomechanical units calibrated nanite null fields, and Larari cosmic menders infused the cure with stardust resonance. Captain Vasquez stood at the threshold of a vast domed laboratory, watching as a single Fenari survivor, eyes once hollow with rage, received the first injection of the synthesized antidote. She blinked in wonder as the dark veins of the nanovirus receded beneath her translucent skin. For a moment, there was only breathless hope. General Rourke arrived beside him, her uniform streaked with dust and data stains. "It's working," she whispered. "We're curing them." He nodded, emotion catching him in the throat. "Together," he said. "We did this together." She placed a hand on his arm, gaze turning upward toward the dome's fractal lattice, where alien constellations glittered. "We chose vengeance first," she admitted softly, "but we chose unity in the end." Above, the twin suns of Fenari Prime cast long golden beams through the damaged dome. In that light, the scars of war seemed to fade, if only for a moment, into the promise of a new beginning. Humanity had begged for peace and chose vengeance instead, but from the ashes and echoes of that choice had grown the fragile seeds of lasting unity. And so, amidst the ruins and rebirth, the galaxy dared to hope once more.